sound. There we go.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the October 29th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And by a new friend of the RamView show here, Sports Ball Games. Make game day funner for you and your crew. Play sports ball games. Play for a hill of beans or jelly beans. We'll be talking to you more about sports ball games when we come to the break. All right, we're in the house. We're here. I think I got my issues taken care of with Facebook. If you are watching us live on Facebook, we weren't getting our chats from Facebook, so be sure to drop a chat in if you are watching us on Facebook. We're going live over Facebook right now, Twitter or X, and of course YouTube, and right here on Restream. As you can tell, I'm playing with a lot of graphics in here. I'm really thrilled to get the sports ball game icon in there, as well as the Kistler Law and our RamView image. So it's just a new opportunity just to add something a little bit more to the broadcast. So we do appreciate you being here. I know we are used to a 5 o'clock start time. Maybe I'll look at that again when the season is over, or maybe after the Blue Jays win the World Series. But I really do not want to be broadcasting at 5 o'clock with NFL games starting and, of course, World Series games. Why beat your head against a rock? Because actually this World Series is turning out to be a pretty good World Series. Okay, so speaking about the clock and times and everything and the time that we're in, the Rams are on the clock now. Right now, the Rams are on the clock. Despite playing, for them, what's been really lousy football, for as good as this team can be and should be, they're 5-2. Good. They're coming off a bye, and they're coming off their most complete game of the season, and they are relatively healthy. And if you look around the league and you see what's happening with other teams, the Rams are extremely healthy. So everything is in place. So now it's really time for the Rams to put up or shut up. It's time to play your best football, right? I took some pushback, but from a nuanced audience like you guys, I didn't take that much of a pushback when I said I thought the Rams sucked the first 7 games this year. By and large, I think I'd give them a D+ compared to what they're capable of. I used to have teachers grade me, and it used to make me so angry, is that I'm only giving you a C, Joe, because I know you can do better. And it's like, well, what level of work am I doing? And I could never, get them to give me that grade. It was always, we want more out of you. And it's like, stop playing games with me. But it's how the world works. Rams are 5-2, but we know they should be probably 6-1, right? And I know that's quibbling, 5-2, 6-1. But when we've seen how they've played, the games that they've been lucky to win, the games they horsed around with too much, no, this hasn't been a great first part of the season for the Rams. But they're 5-2. They're coming off a bye. They're relatively healthy. And guess what? The Saints and Tyler Show are coming to town this week. So this is good news for the Rams. This is a great opportunity for the Rams to really start putting up and shutting up people like me. And the Saint game is almost like a nice tune-up, because the games after that, you got Fog City, the Emerald City, and Tampa. You got Frisco, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. All those teams. I don't care what Frisco's record is. They're always going to be a nemesis for the Rams, right? We know the Emerald City. We know Seattle. They're on a high right now. They're playing some good football, or very competitive. I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a bit overrated, and I think they're a little bit drunk with Sam Darnold right now. Sam Darnold's always going to be Sam Darnold. I think he's above average, but he's not great. better than Geno, but he's not that next step. And so he's always going to make those Sam Darnold mistakes. If the Seahawks beat the Rams, it's going to be because the Seahawks beat the Rams. It's not like Sam Darnold, who the Rams have seen plenty of over the years, is going to beat the Rams. But that's a tough game. You got Fog City, you got Emerald City, and then you've got Tampa Bay coming to town. And Tampa Bay's banged up, but that's still a competitive team. So this is where the Rams are at. If the Rams could come out of these next 4 games, if they can come out of this section of the schedule, they'll be 9-2 when they're heading to Carolina on November 30th. They'll be in control of the NFC West and an absolute tear to the NFC. No one's going to want to play the Rams, right? So they have an opportunity to take control of this thing. Let's see here. All right, Bill, good to have you, Bill. TJ Hawkinson from the Vikings improved the Rams if they only had to give up a 3rd-round pick. As you know, it is a familiar system because it's Kevin O'Connell. That's a good point there. But I really wouldn't want to give up a 3rd-round pick for TJ Hawkinson. I just wouldn't. By the time he gets used to Stafford and everything, I just wouldn't be there. I've heard speculation about bringing in another veteran receiver, and I think I like that one better. And then, you know, if you're going to move a 5th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick or something for Hawkinson, you can't have five tight ends on the roster. So Colby Parkinson or likely Colby Parkinson would have to be moved. Maybe Davis Allen, because you know they're not moving Ferguson, and they're not going to. Higbee doesn't have any market at this point. But I would lean more receiver. Hawkinson's a great player, but by the time he gets up to speed, which again that might be faster since Kevin O'Connell and has connections to the Rams. I don't know if that's going to be at the right move now. Manny Correa, thank you, Manny, for clicking on. I do appreciate you being here at this odd hour. And like I said, guys, I'll be happy to maybe go back to 5 o'clock once the season winds down. But like I said, I don't want to be broadcasting live at 5 and have Shohei Ohtani at the plate or have Thursday Night Football kicking off or have Monday Night Football. Fortunately, Monday Night Football is done with the double headers. So we're just going to plug away here in this 3 o'clock window for the next couple of weeks and see where we're at after baseball. And now that Monday Night Football is kind of getting rid of the doubleheader, I think we're done with that. So the Rams have an opportunity here. They have an opportunity to go 9-2. Their next 4 games, hopefully a tune-up against the Saints coming out of the bye, a beat-up Frisco team, a very susceptible Seattle team at home, and then they get Tampa at home. So they can go prove to 9-2. And I think they need to stack those wins. Fancy phrase it's always used these days. They need to stack those wins because then they got to go to the Panthers. They got the Cardinals, okay, but then they've got the Lions, and then they got to go up to Seattle. And right now we're seeing some fun stuff happen there. Maybe not for Raheem Morris, but some fun stuff happen there in Atlanta that gives the Rams some hope. All right, Bill, go Blue Jays. Yeah, go Blue Jays. It's a really good World Series. It's a really good game to watch. ESG, thank you for clicking on. Yeah, Pastor Joe, I think this late in the season, it's better they get a defensive player. They can adapt quicker. I wouldn't mind that dude in the middle. You're hearing talks about Quinnen Williams. And so, I mean, not coming to the Rams, but Quinnen Williams being available from the Jets. Jets need to move him. Jets need to move Garrett Wilson. Jets need to move Sauce Gardner. I think of all of those guys, Sauce Gardner would be the guy I'd want least. But they need to make a move there. Or I am, as time has gone on, I am subscribing to this theory of maybe a 3rd veteran receiver just to play it safe, a savvy guy that can get in there and pick it up quick. Just something to think about. When looking at the rest of the NFC West's schedule these next few weeks, the 49ers get the Giants without Cam Scatteraboo. Then they host the Rams. Then they got the Cardinals who play them tough. And then they got the Panthers who aren't a pushover. And they'll play the Panthers the week before the Rams do. And I don't think anything's going to come easy for the 49ers going forward. The Seahawks, they get the Taxkins this weekend. I think that's Sunday night. And but without Jaden Daniels, Taxkins, Yeah, I'm leaning Seattle in that one. And then they get the Cardinals. Then they come to LA to play the Rams, and they get the Titans. So, yeah, they can go 3-1 in this stretch. And so if the Rams can knock them out twice, that would be really good going forward. And the Cardinals are a team that I think they're going to have some serious soul searching to do. Monty Ossenfort has done a good job the last few years, but Jonathan Gannon, who's done a good job, and this was supposed to be more of a breakout year for the Cardinals. They're 2-5. They go to Dallas this week, which Dallas doesn't have much of a defense, but do the Cardinals have much of an offense? But the Cowboys are explosive. Then they got to play Seattle again. Then they got the 49ers, and then they got the Jaguars. So the Cardinals could be 2-9, and they could be 2-9 by the time they face the Rams, and I think week 12. And then they play the Rams at the end of the season. And then they could be a little dangerous because they would have nothing to play for. All right, let's keep trucking along here. I really appreciate you guys being here. Bill, did you stay up to watch the 18-inning game? Yeah, I had to, man. Had to stay up and watch that game. I was disappointed. I don't know what it was like for you guys out there. Was that 2 a.m. out there in Philly? That was a long night for you guys. Let's see. Bill, I heard Shula is rumored to be the next Titan coach. I'm going to put that out there, let that stay there for a little bit. I did not see that, and I never saw the Derrick Henry rumors. Did you guys hear about Derrick Henry rumors coming to the Rams? I'm not into that one either. My personal thing with Chris Shula is, bro, you waited this long. I might want to wait a little bit longer. I would. I don't think I'd want to go to the Titans. I just don't. I don't think I'd want to go there. I think there might be someplace better. I know they got Cam Ward, and everyone likes Cam Ward, and I like Cam Ward too. But are they going to let you stick around long enough in Tennessee to develop Cam Ward? Because let's remember one thing about Tennessee. Tennessee thought it was a good move to move off Mike Vrabel. And that told me a lot about Tennessee right there. It's like, you're moving off Mike Vrabel? I do not get it. I do not get it. Okay, a couple of house cleaning things here. Rams put cornerback Trey Brown, who they signed after Ahkello Witherspoon went down. They released him. They signed wide receiver Tyler Scott to the practice squad. So just some stuff there. I'll do a background on Tyler Scott on Friday. Again, Rams have 10 games left, 7 against teams with winning records, 5 against the NFC West, and they're evenly split those 10 games home and away. All right, before we get to around the NFL and other places and the schedule for Week 9, remember, I'm just Joe Terosian. I'm a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And if you have any auto issue questions, and especially if you're out here in California, I can't recommend Kistler Law enough. And thanks to them, we're able to do this because it keeps me employed in my day job as I pastor a small church in Burbank. And we want to say thank you to Sports Ball Games who have joined us. And if you're looking for a new way to bring your crew together on game day without the gambling stress or fantasy overload, try Sports Ball Games, free pick'em and squares, live leaderboards and bragging rights built in. One click and you're in. No fees, no spreadsheets, no headaches. Just sports fun your whole group can enjoy. Whether you're cheering from the break room or the backyard, Sports Ball Games makes every game day a team event. Play for fun, brag for real. Join sportsballgames.com. Check that out. That is a lot of fun. Also a reminder, what helps me keep me employed in my day job is I write books. I want to say thank you because a few of you guys have been purchasing my books, and they are on Amazon. And I'll start doing more promos for my books. I'll put some images up there of them in the coming weeks. But I do appreciate your support there. All my books are on Amazon. My most recent book came out last September, Game Day in the Ram Cave. And it's a fictional NFC championship game between the Rams and the Packers, which lets you know exactly who I'm rooting for to make the NFC championship game this year. So I do appreciate all that support. And we have taken a hiatus right now from our actual podcast, Spotify, and iHeart, because we weren't getting any traction. And I've got a limited amount of time to mess around with stuff online and everything. So we decided that it was best to invest place where we can gain traction and measure traction easier, which is through Restream. So thank you for your support. If you have any questions about any of those things, be sure to let me know. All right, NFL trade deadline next week, Tuesday, November 4th. Great conversations about TJ Hawkinson, Derrick Henry. I had not seen Derrick Henry at all, but I think Tim Burns brought it up, the great Tim Burns. Check out his column at midvalleysports.com. And then the one name that I saw that you could speculate about when we're talking about tight ends, if there is a tight end the Rams could move, it would be Colby Parkinson. He's a veteran. He's playing better this year. I think the last of his serious guaranteed money is up after this year. The Rams still have him under contract for next year, but a team would be eager to take him if they were really desperate. I don't know if I'd want to trade him right now. I'm happy with the four guys the Rams got. But if someone was to offer me a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick for Colby Parkinson, yeah, I'd be tempted. Speaking of draft picks, the Rams have 2 number 1s, a number 2, a number 3, a number 5. They did have 2 number 5s, but when they made that swap for Roger McCreary, they sent the 5th to Tennessee, and they got back McCreary and a 6th. And so the Rams have 3 6th-round picks and a 7th. And we're going to be talking draft picks before the end of the show, what those picks can mean. All right, let's see here. The unevenness of the Tyven trade tells me the Rams will replay them with a future similar trade. I think the when you read what the Rams did there, it's basically a swap, right? We give up a 5th and get the veteran corner, and they're 6th, right? And stuff, and so they get a 5th, and they're just trying to get out from under all this previous stuff. The Titans are. So they get a 5th-round pick, which is Ram fans, we know what you can do with a 5th-round pick and later picks. So they move up a little bit. And I don't know what's in the future, in terms of what may be coming down the line there. Maybe if it greases the skids to a Jeffrey Simmons deal, that would make me happy. Bill also said, would a Henry and Williams backfield excite you? I got to tell you, as ESG says right there, the only problem Derrick Henry is I think he's been fumbling more than Kyron, and there's a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that one there, and I'm out on Derrick Henry. I wouldn't want to bail the Ravens out. And the Ravens right now, I'd be surprised if they wanted to move Henry, because I think they won this past week, a game they weren't supposed to win. So they're 2-5. And now they get the Dolphins this week, and that can get them to 3-5. And maybe with the Steelers, there's questions about the Steelers now. Joe Flacco's got a sore shoulder. He might not even be able to bridge them to Joe Burrow. And of course, the Browns suck. The Ravens might not be so apt to fire sale Derrick Henry right now. Just my thoughts. ESG, the teams that worry me the most at the end of the season are the ones who have nothing to play for, especially if you haven't clinched a spot. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm a bit of a spiteful person, and I'm happy to wreck some teams seasons like that. Yeah, very happy about that. Hopefully not against the Rams. Around the NFL and other places, the Philadelphia Eagles trade former Alabama wide receiver John Mitchell. Remember, he missed his rookie season because I think he had a form of leukemia. He was a 2nd-round, 44th overall pick out by the Texans in 2022. He got sent to Philly, and he's not really playing much with the Eagles right now. So he was sent to the Jets for veteran corner Michael Carter. The 49ers signed Cleveland Farrell, former 4th overall pick by the Raiders in 2019. That Mayock and John Gruden era was just horrible for the Raiders. Farrell was a 1st-round, 4th overall pick out of Clemson in 2019. He's bounced around all over the league, including Frisco before in 2023. Left as a free agent, and now he's back on their practice squad. And the Vikings have signed former Ram quarterback, the Wolf, John Wolford, because former Ram quarterback Carson Wentz it looks like he's done for the year with shoulder surgery. Coaches on the hot seat, Mike McDaniel, Raheem Morris are the two that intrigue me the most. Again, I think Aaron Glenn's going to get out of this year. I think Zach Taylor, if he's fired, will not happen during the season. And I'm not really worried about Brian Daboll, Sirianni, maybe a little bit about Jonathan Gannon. And, of course, we're all up for Chase Blackburn, the Rams special team coach, to get pinked. Lions extend to Aiden Hutchinson, 4 years, 180 rocks, 141 guaranteed. Wow. I remember when I was got my first job, I was making $4 an hour minimum wage. And it was like, dang, that's really good money, right? And then when I got promoted, I was making $6.25 an hour. Oh my gosh, in 1985. So it was like, wow, I'm making bucks. But speaking of trades and speaking of moves, speaking of Mike Vrabel, this is something that Patriots have really intrigued me. While competing right now for the AFC East, and just getting better by the week, the New England Patriots, a team that really shouldn't be competing yet, is competing, and they're shedding all the Belichick and Jared Mayo holdovers. And they picked up a pair of 6th-rounders in the process. So the Patriots, after extending Kyle Duggar last year, traded him to the Steelers because the Steelers just lost Deshaun Elliott, I think it was. And when I looked at that trade and then I looked it up, I thought, boy, that's a really stupid move by the Steelers, because they're taking on this ridiculous contract for Duggar that the Patriots gave him, but they restructured. Good for the Steelers. That Omar, is that Steeler fan Rob's boy Omar? They voided the last 2 years of that contract, so Duggar will be a free agent. So that makes it a better trade. It makes the trade make sense. Duggar was a starter under Gerard Mayo, not seen as much playing time under Mike Vrabel. Then the Patriots sent Keon White. Now, who's Keon White? That's a great question, because Keon White was a 2nd-round, 46th overall pick out of Old Dominion. The Rams got Byron Young 30 picks later, right? And we see what Byron Young is doing. We don't even know who Keon White is. He had 5 sacks last year, but he's in the 3rd year of his rookie deal, hardly playing. And Mike Vrabel just says, yeah, we don't need this guy. They sent him to the 49ers along with a 7th in exchange for a 6th. So they picked up 2 6th-round picks for 2 guys they had no plans to keep, no plans to be around. Really good move. And again, the Patriots aren't supposed to be competing, but they are. And this is why I'm glad they're in the AFC. They do scare me a little bit. Let's see here. Bill, what do you think McVay? Who do you think McVay likes more, Bennett or Jimmy G? Oh, right now it's Jimmy G, right? Right now it's Jimmy G. I think I don't know what's going to happen to Bennett, because I think, does he have another year? I think he has another year after this one. But I definitely think he likes Jimmy G right now. Could it be that Bennett graduates into the backup quarterback role? Let's just say Stafford returns. Plays at a high level. Does Jimmy G want to take a 3rd year as a backup? Even if it means getting a ring, does he want to take a 3rd year as a backup? He might want one more shot starting in the NFL. His body's had time to heal up. He's been in a great system. He makes Ram fans feel really good, doesn't he? You know, it's like no one wants to see Stafford get hurt, but no one wants to see John Wolford go into a game, right? And so right now, yeah, I think McVay is all over Jimmy G. Let's see. Bill, if the Rams lose Shula and go in-house, who do you think the Rams will choose? Didn't one of you guys bring up Aubrey Pleasant the other day? I don't know if that's where Aubrey Pleasant is trending to, but if it's Aubrey Pleasant, I'm good with it. And I know I'm being strictly strategic here. I'm good with Aubrey Pleasant because his future is with a bullet right now. Raheem Morris will never be a head coach again. If this doesn't turn around in Atlanta and it keeps trending the way it is, this is Raheem's last shot to be a head coach. So you could bring him back, and we trust Raheem. We won a Super Bowl with Raheem. But Aubrey Pleasant is ascending, and because of the way the rules work, because he's African American, if Aubrey Pleasant does become a head coach or becomes a GM somewhere, right? The Rams get 2 third-round picks for him. I know. Let's be strategic about it. If it worked out, if that's where Aubrey Pleasant is trending, then I'm trending Aubrey Pleasant, right? That's where I'm going on that one. Let's see. Manny Correa. Thank you, Manny. Surratt. Surratt, do I know you, man? Because traditional names aren't appearing like they used to, so forgive me. I don't think they'll make a trade. Parkinson is a decent blocker. Yeah, it would have to be something special for me to move Parkinson. He's played better this year. Those four tight ends, they really work. Let you realistically keep flirting and messing around with that 13 personnel. But if they offered me a 3rd-round pick, which no one's going to do, I would definitely look at it. ESG, the Rams have been receiving calls for both backup quarterbacks. I heard that from the Bengals. They actually were interested in Stetson. I would trade Stetson if someone wanted to give me a 4th-round pick for Stetson, because if someone's going to trade for Stetson Bennett, they're going to spend the dough, right? I'm not trading him to a team that needs a quarterback for a 7th-round pick. I'm not even trading him to a team that really needs him for a 5th-round pick. If you want Stetson Bennett and you're like the Cincinnati Bengals and you feel that Bennett, who's been with McVay, would fit into what the Zach Taylor Bengals do, now it's going to cost you a 4th, right? If Raheem wanted Stetson, it's going to cost him a 4th, right? I'm not going to give him away for cheap, right? Rams have invested too much time in him, and he did look good this preseason. So I think I wouldn't trade Jimmy G. I just wouldn't, because Stafford could get his bell rung in the 2nd round of the playoffs, and you got a quarterback who took a team to a Super Bowl in Jimmy G, who's been healthy, hasn't taken any hits, and looked pretty good in Week 18 last year. Also, I like the way he took the kneel downs in London. Manny Correa, me and my son are going to the Saints game. Good for you, Manny. Awesome. I'm happy for you. I hope somebody's paying for the parking, but I'm really, really happy for you. All right, let's keep rolling here. Let's see what we got. Boom. Yeah, so many buttons to push now. That's one thing that's a little bit weird is that I got all these different buttons to push that I didn't have to push before, and stuff. So I beg your patience on this. All right, let's look to the schedule. Tomorrow night, October 30th, Ravens at the Dolphins. Dolphins may be entering we've got nothing to lose mode. Ravens are playing for something. I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one because I just can't in good conscience ever pick the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one. That's an absolute lock it down. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm not going to say a score, but I'm taking the Ravens. My other picks can change by Friday, but right now you got the Bears at the Bengals in the Virgil Carter Bowl. In fact, I'll let you guys see this. Let's get it up there for you guys to see. There we go. Now everyone's looking at it. I got the Bears at the Bengals in the Virgil Carter Bowl. I'm leaning Bengals at home just because for right now. I read that about Flacco after I did this, so maybe I might flip on Friday. Vikings at the Lions. I'm taking Lions right now. Who knows? Stetson Bennett might be the Vikings starter. You never know. Anyway, Panthers at the Packers. I'm taking the Packers at home. What would that be? What bowl would that be? The Julius Peppers Bowl. Broncos at the Texans in the Gary Kubiak Bowl. I'm taking the Broncos right now. Man, there was a couple moments there where Bo Nix, man, he just looked great, right? They're catching fire. They're really catching fire. And that would be interesting too. I think a couple weeks ago or a week ago, I said, does it seem like Indy and New England are trending to be the top teams in the AFC, if not this year, then next year? Well, you could have a whole different mode of a whole different aristocracy there in the AFC. It could be the Patriots, it could be the Colts, and it could be the Broncos next year if the Chiefs start showing some age, if the Bills don't stay healthy, and the Ravens, right? I'm not even really looking at the Ravens anymore because all those little injuries, those nagging injuries, look like they could be settling in on Lamar Jackson. Everything we said that could happen is kind of starting to happen a little bit. And his passing talent has only gone so far. Not a bad quarterback, great quarterback, but not enough. Falcons at the Patriots, the Hugh Millen Bowl. This is exciting, man. If the Falcons can fall apart and fall to 3-5, come on, right? We're feeling good as Ram fans, right? That makes me feel really good. 49ers at Giants. My heart, if Scattaboo was playing, I'd probably take the Giants. I think the Giants are the best 2-6 team in football. They're probably more 3-5 than 2-6. But I'm going to do the wise thing and stick with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers going to, I think it's East Rutherford now. Is that what it is? We'll do that one. Colts at Steelers. Steeler fan Rob told me that if he wasn't a Steeler fan, he understands why people would take the Colts in this game. This is the Roy Jefferson Bowl. Roy Jefferson, heck of a receiver. I don't know anyone remembers Roy Jefferson. But I'm going to take the Colts at Pittsburgh. This is one of the things that surprised me, and I don't think we talked about it on Monday, was for some reason when I put that game on Monday, or was it Sunday night? Whatever night. I think it was Sunday night. When I put that game on, it was so noisy. For a second there, I thought they were in Green Bay. I thought it was in Green Bay, and I looked at the field, and I said, wait, this isn't right. And then, checked everything out. No, it was in Pittsburgh. And Aaron Rodgers was talking about how in Pittsburgh, he had to use a silent count. Whoa, right? Whoa, that something like that took place there. Colts don't have a Packer fan base, but Steelers have some things to work out, and I'm going to go with the Colts right now. Chargers at Titans. I'm going with the Chargers in that one. Saints at Rams in the Jim Everett Bowl. We're going with the Rams in that one. Jaguars at Raiders in the Maurice Jones-Drew Bowl. I want to take the Jaguars, but the Jaguars, they're finding ways to mess things up. Lawrence hasn't been great, and that receiving core is horrible. I think the Raiders straighten themselves out, get a win at home. Chiefs at Bills. I'm still up in the air on that one, but I'm going Bills. If you see a team in red there, that's the team I'm leaning towards right now. The Bills have activated Gabe Davis from the practice squad at receiver because they need another receiver, but they've lost Ed Oliver, torn biceps surgery. I don't know if they've ruled him out done for the year, but that's serious stuff there. And then you've got the Seahawks at the Taxkins in the Jim Zorn Bowl. Terry McLaurin ruled out, and no one really knows about Jaden Daniels. Let's see. Serhat, which is a Turkish name. The extra T was a typo. Oh, no worries. No worries. Thank you, Serhat. I appreciate you being here. Chargers over the Titans. Yeah, thank you, Willie. $5 Steve. Roy Jefferson had a cool card back in the day. What I liked about Roy Jefferson were the mutton chops, right? Number 80 for the Redskins. They had him and Charlie Taylor. I mean, if it was a different NFL in those days, Charlie Taylor, I mean, and Roy Jefferson with Jerry Smith at tight end, Larry Brown at running back. Dang, if it had been a different NFL, might have been different for the Redskins in those days. Manuel Vasquez, I'll be at the Rams Saints game. All right, you guys are going. And you and Manny too. Myself, if we get a few more, we can all hold up a letter and spell out RamView for you, Joe. Oh, do it, man. Do it. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Willie Bowen, LA Rams over the New Orleans Saints. Horns up. Okay. $5 Steve. This is Steve Ramirez. Rams over the Saints in the old NFC West Bowl. Okay. Old NFC West Bowl. Always better when we played them here than we played them in the Superdome in those days. And does anybody else think when it comes to the Rams and the Saints that Nickel, Roby, Coleman should have a statue built outside of SoFi? I'm all into the Nickel, Roby, Coleman fan club. We should start that one because that is that's what I'm all about there. So, all right, we got that slide in, and cool. Let's just keep trucking here. I did want to do this one.
It was a stone group, my man.
Okay, not too much on this day in Rams history except a trade and a birthday. Former Ram cornerback Janoris Jenkins, who became Jackrabbit Jenkins legally, I think, a few years later, he turns 37 today. 37. Talented guy. He was feast and famine, though. You know who he reminds me of? maybe not a perfect one. He reminds me of Travion Diggs, the cornerback for Dallas, who gives up massive yardage, but he's a good ball hawk, right? He'll get the interception, but he gets beat a lot and gives up a lot of yardage. That was Jenkins. Jenkins was a big play guy, but that wasn't a bad, again, the years the Rams wasted, those last couple of years in St. Louis, you had Robert Quinn, Chris Long, you had Aaron Donald, you had Laurinaitis, you had Ogletree, you had Mark Barron, you had a whole host of guys, and you had Trumaine Johnson and Janoris Jenkins at the corners. Wouldn't we love to have a Trumaine Johnson right now, circa 2016, 2017? And the Rams couldn't get to 7-9, right? They couldn't even get to 7-9. It was brutal. It was brutal. But happy birthday to Janoris Jenkins. All right. Let's see. Paul, go Rams. Thank you, Paul, for clicking in. Willie Bowen, Rams 35, New Orleans Saints 3. Willie Bowen, that deserves a show here. So we're going to put that right there because I think all of us want a game that looks like that, right? We all want a game that looks like that. I am right there with you, Mr. Ramirez on Jenkins. 35-3 Rams over the Saints. I hope it is. I truly hope it is. All right. Real cool here. This date in Rams history. All right. I'm going to put a slide up there. Today is the 6th anniversary of the team dealing Aqib Talib along with a draft pick, which was a 5th rounder, to the Dolphins for a 7th rounder. It was a salary dump when the 2019 season went south. Remember, the Rams had Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib in 2018. Halfway through the 2019 season, when everything went south, they traded Marcus Peters and then they moved off Aqib Talib. They gave up Talib and a 5th rounder just to get his contract moved to Miami, right? And so they got a 7th rounder in return. So a couple years passed. That 7th rounder was from 2022. So a couple years passed, and it was draft day 2022, and the Rams sent that 7th rounder, which became 238 overall, and a 5th rounder to the Raiders to move up from 175 to 164 in the 5th round. How's that, huh? Pretty good research, Joe. So what were the results of all that? Talib had a cup of coffee with the Dolphins and retired. The 5th rounder became Darnell Mooney, who's had a pretty good NFL career. Right now he's a little banged up in Atlanta, but he's had a really good career. The 5th rounder became Matthew Butler, got cut by the Raiders. Now he's on the roster with the Dolphins. The 7th rounder the Rams got was sent to the Raiders and became Thayer Mumford, and he played a lot with the Raiders, and now he's with the Browns. So what happened to that 5th rounder the Rams traded up for? Does anyone know who that 5th rounder was the Rams traded up for? Boom. That 5th rounder the Rams moved up to get in the 2022 draft, that pick became Kyren Williams. And now you know the rest of the story. Is that pretty cool or what? Aqib Talib dumped. In fact, I can remember, I wasn't broadcasting then, but I can remember that, gosh, they gave him a 5th rounder and Talib to the Dolphins, and the whole thing was just a salary dump. And that pick wasn't coming until 2022. That means we had to finish 2019, go through 2020, go through the Super Bowl year of 2021, and you aren't going to be able to do anything with it till 2022. And everyone's like, oh, gosh, what are we going to do here, right? And that draft day came around. Rams used it to move up 11 spots, and they took Kyren Williams. Tell me that's not cool. That is so cool that Aqib Talib essentially was transitioned into Kyren Williams. There you go. All right, cool. All right, we're at the 40-minute mark. I think we've done well. If you guys have any other questions you want to throw at me, and let me know. I'd love to talk a little bit longer on some Ram topics or anything going on in the NFL. Teams that you really should keep an eye on that I don't think are done. Keep an eye on the Ravens. I don't think they're done. Vikings, I think they're done. Panthers, dangerous. Texans. I don't think the Texans are done, although they should be in the market for another receiver because Stroud needs help, right? Stroud needs help. The Jaguars need help. They should be in the market for another receiver. Instead, they're talking about removing Brian Thomas from the roster. And then the one that I'm interested in again is because I just don't think they're this bad is the Raiders. I think Pete Carroll's going to be given a long rope, but the Geno thing did not work out, and everyone made a big deal is that Aiden O'Connell, who was injured in the preseason, has been designated to return. So keep your eye on the Raiders. Let's see. Manu Vasquez, a shutout is hard to get nowadays in the NFL, but I think the Rams have a really decent chance on accomplishing that Sunday against a rookie quarterback. Did anyone think that maybe would you have rather played against Spencer Rattler or Show? Honestly, I don't know how you start a rookie quarterback against this Rams defense. I don't know who else was on the record, who else was coming up on the schedule for the Saints to play. But do you really put him out there against Jared Verse and Byron Young? That one just seems that's a little cruel and unusual punishment. Michael Negretti, are the Falcons done? If the Falcons get worked this week, I think they're done. I think it can spin because they're on the road. They're going to New England. And again, right now, New England's been taking care of these teams they should take care of. They should take care of them. Is Penix going to play? I don't know. Kirk Cousins wasn't great. I don't know who's left on that roster right now. Maybe they trade again for Stetson Bennett. I'm not sure. I'm close to saying the Falcons are done. Manuel Vasquez, Rams 37-0. I'll take it. Paul, do you think the 49ers are sinking? Somebody, I don't know if it was Brian Smith or somebody corrected me. They said, Joe, maybe it wasn't Brian Smith, but they said, I kept throwing dirt on the grave, right? I'm reading Edgar Allan Poe. It's Halloween season, a premature burial. But I'm always of the mindset the 49ers are done, right? And they need games like the Rams played against them to keep them alive. 49ers should be 4-4 right now, right? I don't think anything is an easy one for them. I think they're talking about Brock Purdy coming back, but players keep coming down. Are they going to get their center back? And here's the thing. Everyone else has gone down, but Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey haven't gone down yet. They're leaning a lot on Christian McCaffrey. And my guess is that it's just a matter of time, right? It's just a matter of time. Do the Giants have the personnel to really beat the snot out of them between Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau and Brian Burns? I don't think Abdul Carter's playing, but do they have enough to beat the snot out of them? They absolutely do have enough to beat the snot out of them. Offensively, they're so helter-skelter, you never know what the Giants are going to do. And Saleh's a wise coach, so it's hard for you to take the Giants, right? I guess I could take them since I don't bet, but if I was betting and I had money on it, I think I'd lean 49ers. But I do think they're sinking. And I think if the Rams got their wake-up call, again, the Rams should go up to Frisco and beat the snot out of them. I mean, it's hard when you look at this Rams team to not think, beat the snot out of them, beat the snot out of them. But we know the Rams don't always come to play every week. Let's see here. I saw a mock with the Raiders taking Sellers of South Carolina. Yeah, Colin Cowherd was pushing Sellers quite a bit, and I think Joel Klatt pushed back on that today. I don't know. I don't know where the Raiders are going to be. I mean, they're going to need a quarterback, absolutely. But there's just names that are rising that aren't the expected names. It's going to be really weird because you're going to have pro days and you're going to have workouts and you're going to have combine, and these guys that everyone's given up on, Klubnik and others that were supposed to be guys that became something, they might bounce back and be drafted because of what they call, their skills or their traits or whatever, as opposed to what their production was. Steve, you might remember there was a quarterback out here about 25 years ago, local high school. His name was Ryan, I think, O'Hara. And he was one of the first high school quarterbacks I ever saw. This is like in 99, 2000, had his own website. And you saw him play and you go, this guy's not that great. But then he still got a Division I offer, and I think he played at Arizona because he was great in the workouts. He was great in the 7-on-7 stuff, but it never really translated ever on the field. So you just never know. Surat, thank you. What's your Amazon link to buy your books? Just go to Amazon and type in Joe Tarosian, and all my books will come up. You'll see 3 specific football novels. 2 of them are high school, Tangent Dreams and Temple City and the Company of the Ages. Those are high school football ones. My Ram one is Game Day and the Ram Cave. And check those out. I am in the process. I had a problem with Amazon in terms of my they're using an earlier draft for my ebook version of Tangent Dreams. And so I'm in the process of trying to clean that up because it was an earlier draft and it just didn't work out right. So there's some typos in that version. The story still comes through, but I was really upset when I was looking at it earlier. It's just finding time to fix it, but it still comes through. The story's still good. It still works. But yeah, Joe Tarosian, Jotorosian, right there on Amazon, and their books all come up. Thank you so much, man. I do appreciate it. Pastor Joe, what do you think about the Cowboys? I had to be asked that question by Michael Negretti. Okay, here's my issue with the Cowboys. I have hated them for so long, I don't know how to love them, right? Does that make sense? Is that, and maybe if they were better, I'd still hate them, but I've hated them for so long. I think my hate has softened it just a tiny bit. But don't we all just love an underdog, right? Instead of talking about them being America's team and God's team, and God has the hole in the stadium to watch, all that vomitous, miserable stuff that we used to put up with the Cowboys, there's something about this team I really do like, because Dak is playing great. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's playing really well. And they're taking lemons and making lemonade, right? And so that part's fun to watch, and that they're not an easy out, and they're not on the Rams schedule. George Pickens is playing out of his mind. And again, it's all kind of fool's gold because he's in a contract year. But I think what I'm kind of happy for, because I wrote the dude off, I laughed about it. You know, he's been in every team in the league, is Brian Schottenheimer. This is a great, you're always happy when you see someone have success, right? You're always happy when you see someone have success. But, Brian Schottenheimer, totally written off. Nobody thought anything, but the dude fits the suit. He really looks like an NFL head coach. And so, it's just hard. It's hard for me to have the seething hate against the Cowboys that I used to have. I don't like them. I don't want them to do well, but I do want them to beat the Cardinals this week. And it's kind of cool to see Brian Schottenheimer get a little bit of his due, right? Because his dad was a great coach, and not for Jeremiah Castile recovering that fumble, if not for a drive by Elway, if not for who was the Chargers safety, was it McCree, that got the game clinching interception and then fumbled it against the Patriots. I mean, you talk about Schottenheimer, right? Schottenheimer was the second generation of Chuck Knox, and maybe Sean McDermott's that guy nowadays. But so I've softened a little bit on the Cowboys. Still hate them. Maybe I don't hate them as much. Let's see. USA Expat, hate the Cowboys too, but only after the Vikes. My hatred for the Vikes is really waned because we're not playing in that stadium anymore. We're not dealing with the cold or anything. As I've said often, the Vikings ownership and everything, they decided they wanted to host Super Bowls instead of go to Super Bowls. Because why would a team in the NFC North or even the AFC North, why would you build a dome and eliminate your greatest natural advantage? From what I understand, from the Bills' new stadium, the fans are going to be protected, but the field is still going to be exposed. Why would you eliminate this advantage that you have? I don't understand, and that's what the Vikings did. Never should have gone into the Metrodome. When they had a chance to rebuild and build another stadium, they chose, and all that skull stuff, it's stupid. It feels manufactured. It doesn't mean anything. and they haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1976. And where did they win that championship game? They beat the Rams in Bloomington, right there in Minnesota. They went to the Super Bowl in 74. They beat the Rams right there in Minnesota. They got to the Super Bowl after 69 season. And in the first round, they beat the Rams right there in Bloomington. They beat the Redskins in Bloomington in the playoffs in 73. And they chose not to. And it's like, all right, you're stupid. I don't care. To me, the Vikings don't feel relevant anymore. So I don't have that hatred for them. Did I go overboard on that one? Sorry about that. I have been known to howl at the moon sometimes, so I do apologize. USA, how many Super Bowls would the Rams have if they could only get by the Vikings? Okay, my first nightmare is 1974. Steve Ramirez, his nightmare started in 69, and Rams were up 17-7, I think, in halftime in that game. The Rams would have been a better team to play the Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. Would they have beaten the Chiefs? I don't know. But the Rams were a deeper team, I think, than the Vikings in 69. The Rams and the Steelers in 74. If the Rams had played the Steelers in 74, I think we would have been. I think that would have been the game the Steelers could have won. You know, the Rams beat the Steelers in 75, and the Rams beat the Steelers in the regular season in 78. So the Steelers weren't headed above shoulders better than the Rams. I like the Rams' offensive line better. I think it would have been a better game. I'll give the Steelers Super Bowl IX. But if the Rams had played the Raiders in 76, I would have liked the Rams against the Raiders in 76. If the Rams had played the Steelers in 75, I would have liked the Rams against the Steelers in 75. And then, 78, we weren't going to win with Pat Hayden. We just weren't. Sorry. 79, we had a shot because Ferragamo was a different type of quarterback. Sorry. I'm just going off there. Paul, the Vikings became soft when they went indoors. They did. They really did. Steve, I hear the Bears' new stadium will be indoors. Yeah. Okay, that's good for the Rams. If they're stupid enough to do that, good for the Rams, right? How brain dead. Think about the Lions. You used to play Detroit early on. I caught the last end of that Mike Lucci run there, 72, 73, when they were playing, I think, at Tiger Stadium, before they went into the Silver Dome. My first memory of a football game was 69. I saw the Vikings and Lions playing, and it was snowing, and it was all snow. And that was one of the first things that drew me in. My brother had it on a Sunday or Saturday morning, and I just watched it. I didn't understand it or anything, but it was snow. It was this cool thing. And think about what the Lions gave up, right? And they've been indoors for over 50 years, and they haven't been to a Super Bowl still. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, your dislike for the Cowboys is like my dislike for the Raiders. The Raiders suck. Yeah, I never hated the Raiders. I always appreciated them more in Oakland. I was a big fan of that Soul Patrol. That was just really cool. I read They Call Me Assassin by Jack Tatum. That was a lot of fun to read. And everything. So yeah, I never hated the Raiders. Hated the Raiders when they came to LA. Didn't care about them. Didn't celebrate in '83 when they won the title. But I understand why people were diehard Raider fans, and the Raiders have made it really hard for their fans over these last few decades. Ken, this is Manny Correa. Rams would have been a dynasty if it wasn't for the Vikings and the Cowboys. Cowboys beat the Rams in 73. 75, 78, very frustrating, very, very frustrating. Let's see. Niners are really the only team I dislike. Ravens next. You know what? I got a confession to make here, guys. I didn't hate the 49ers in the 80s because Joe Montana was just too good. That you watch them play, and it was just hard to hate them. I was always angrier at the Rams when they played against them than I was at the 49ers. But watching them play, I kind of faded a little bit during the Steve Young years in terms of appreciating them because I wasn't a big Steve Young fan. But I hate the 49ers more now because to me, it's the elevation. It's like, hey, man, win a Super Bowl, and then we'll call you great. But Kyle Shanahan's been declared great for 10 years, and he just loses Super Bowls in the fourth quarter, whether he's an OC or an HC. So that one has always been there. The Ravens, I never really hated the Ravens. In fact, you just love that Super Bowl run in 2000 where they went a whole month without scoring a touchdown, and they're stuck with Tony Banks and Trent Dilfer, and then that defense goes to the Super Bowl and just demolishes the Giants. I think that was Jim Fossil's Giants. I never hated the Ravens. My struggle with the Ravens was when they elevated Lamar Jackson to greatness when he hasn't been to a Super Bowl. He was elevated to greatness, and I don't really care about the MVP stuff. I just don't care. But they elevated him to greatness before he won anything. Now, again, that's sports writers voting. He's flashy. He made great plays, and he has worked hard. He's a great leader. He doesn't dog it. His passing has improved, but he's not an elite passer. And now if those legs are starting to wear out, you don't see those big home run runs anymore. That arm and that passing has to be better, and I think he's hit a ceiling. And so my struggle with the Ravens was all about stop elevating them. They did this with Agassi before Agassi won a major. It's like, let me see you win a big one, and then we'll talk. Is that it? Is that another preaching fest there? Pony Express. I hated it when Eric Dickerson went to the Raiders. Fortunately, it wasn't for too long. There, was it, Pony? It wasn't for too long. Willie Bowen. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, Buffalo Bills, New York Giants, Jets, and the Atlanta Falcons. Also the 49ers. Man, all right. You're like the emperor in Palpatine, right? You feel your hate. Good for you. Niner fans. You hate Niner fans. Yeah, I think people do hate Niner fans. Pony Express, Willie agrees with you. Pony, I did not like going to Candlestick to watch the Rams and the 49ers because I would always get heckled when I wear Rams gear. It was frustrating. So I had a brother that lived up in Sacramento, and he'd go see the Dodgers play when they were in Candlestick. And, you know, talking about teams, I don't know if it was Bill or ESG that talked about it, but talking about teams that they thrive on derailing your season. And that was the Giants up until, you know, the 2000s. They were always the team that they're not going anywhere, and the Dodgers would come there for a 3-game series, and the last game they'd have to win, you know, Joe Morgan would hit a home run, right? Something would happen. And but my brother went to some games at Candlestick, and he had some friends, and, you know, just walked in there wearing a Dodger cap. And this is before social media. This is the early 80s, right? And the Giant fans, he said, were just awful. They were just horrible. One of them spit in somebody's face. It was just awful. And so, yeah, that was no easy thing, I imagine, going up there to Frisco, Pony, and wearing Ram gear, right? Manuel Vasquez, my hatred of the 49ers runs deep. 40 years. Okay. Everyone else is agreeing with you too there, Manuel. There you go. I'm going to get that up there because we have to appreciate that kind of commitment. 40 years of attitude. All right, guys. Willie Bowen agrees. I think we got it in. We're coming up to an hour, and I always like to try to keep the show under an hour. I do appreciate you hanging with me. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, all that stuff on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, please let me know you're picking us up off of Facebook because we're trying to make sure our chats will go through on Facebook. And I'm seeing all my chats are coming through on YouTube, which is great. We didn't interrupt our connection. That was the most important thing to me when I went to Restream. I didn't want to lose you guys. So if we thought we were going to lose you guys, we wouldn't have gone to Restream. But now we're able to do you guys, YouTube, and Twitter, and FB. So cool. All right, guys. Steve, I got heckled at San Francisco Airport wearing a Dodger jacket. All right, I got one last one for you. Great show. Thank you, Paul. I'm going to put you up there, Paul. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear. There you go. So I have a brother that lives in Cincinnati, or he lives on Kentucky, in Union, Kentucky, and the Giants were playing the Reds. And this is when I was still a Dodger fan. I have a Willie Crawford jersey. And I was walking into the stadium, and this old man, I would have hoped he was joking, but he wasn't joking. And he saw me. And of course, you know, no one remembers the Dodgers-Reds rivalry going back to the 70s. That was heated. I hated the Reds. I still do. This guy walked up to me and says, "You got a lot of nerve wearing that in here, buddy." And I just looked at him. You know, I was the mature one, and I just walked away. But it was unbelievable that was going on. So anyway, thank you, Paul. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody that's clicked on today. I do appreciate it. So let's get out of here. Let's go watch some baseball. Go Blue Jays. Go Blue Jays. All right. Take care, guys. God bless.